I approached the story for Search for Life very differently than I had approached the stories for Fallen Order, Lost World, and Masks of Power. I set them out of order for some reason. On all of those, I had approached them more based on the feel rather than anything else, I would guess. And what I mean by writing it more by feel is like there is more of a mystic, well, I don't even know if mystic's the right word, but there was more of this kind of mysterious and ambiguous kind of quality to the original ones that um, you get it kind of implied and the characters just kind of accept it as normal. And so hopefully then the audience will then accept it as normal for them. Well, really, on all of them, they had something, a different kind of element that was established story-wise. So if Fallen Order really, as the base, was more of the feel, then Masks of Power built up on the suspense and also a little bit more into the mystery and legend. And then Lost World really developed more into the action and built upon the suspense that was established in Masks of Power. And for this one, Search of Life, is a drastically different approach because I didn't do it based on feel of like environment. I guess that's what I try to say. I took more of a Sam's Comics kind of approach for Search for Life. And I guess the thing that really differentiates Sam's Comics from Chronicles of the Chronicler in terms of me writing the stories, it was more about character in Sam's Comics. I tried really hard to establish who these characters were, what their motivations were. When I was writing it, everybody had a purpose. They all had a goal, and they all succeeded and or failed in their goals, and it added a real kind of human quality, which is something that I think Chronicles of the Chronicler didn't have as much, especially in the earlier seasons, didn't have as much of a relatable human quality. They're not humans, but still, you want to portray them as characters that the audience can relate to. If not, then they don't have anything going for them otherwise. If you don't like someone, if you don't like anybody, then you're not going to want to find out what happens to them. You're not going to stay interested in them. And there are also other means of me taking more of a comics approach into this Search for Life, but characterizations were somewhat similar to comics. And in the comic scripts, there was a subplot that made it into the movie to a certain degree, but then was not fully developed. It just kind of was there for maybe the first half of the movie, and then the rest of it wasn't really that important. That was the storyline between the sister characters Mackenzie and Molly. I thought it was really unfortunate that that subplot didn't make it fully into the film, Sam's Comics the movie, because that was actually my favorite part of the script, was the Mackenzie and Molly storyline. And I guess in a way to kind of fulfill it, but not exactly fulfill it, I wanted to incorporate more of a sibling story into this one. I mean, I kind of noticed in my writing, I always do kind of fall back on a sibling story if I'm unsure of what to do, because a number of my other scripts that have never been made into movies, like there was Hollywood Grail, which got started but never finished. There was Sam's Comics, which was finished, but the story was never fully developed. Other scripts like Legend of Black Arrow, Secret of the Forbidden Lake, other stuff like that. But they've all had this kind of story of sibling, almost antagonism. Well, not antagonism isn't the real. Antagonism is not the word I'm looking for, but a real kind of siblings who don't get along with each other kind of thing. And I thought this would be a good way to better establish Holly as a character. So one of the reasons I took a different approach to Search for Life is because I originally developed this movie as a spin-off to Chronicles of the Chronicler, not another continuation of Chronicles of the Chronicler. And I wanted to have it centered around Holly instead of Takua like the first three. I realized early on with Chronicles of the Chronicler, when I was writing the third one, that I knew that no matter how hard I tried, I would probably never be able to top Lost World in terms of scale. And one thing I failed to realize is that I didn't need to top it in action if I could top it in other areas that had not yet been explored fully, which is like character and stuff. So with that was my main goal with Search for Life. It's also worth noting that the story for Search for Life was heavily influenced, I'm not going to say inspired, but was influenced by the 2009 remake of Star Trek. I had only just gotten into Star Trek on virtue of my fandom for Star Wars, because when I heard that J.J. Abrams was going to be directing Star Wars, and he was also the guy who had directed the Star Trek movies, it sparked my interest enough just to see what kind of director J.J. Abrams was, because I had only seen one film of his prior to that. And so I went and watched Star Trek just to see how it was, and that got me interested in Star Trek as a series too, because I wasn't at that point. And then that movie, the 2009 Star Trek, the whole concept of the alternate reality really was a heavy influence on the script for Search for Life. I had been doing some work on the Search for Life script before seeing the Star Trek movie, but was never really able to make something click at all until I had seen that movie with the time warp that had happened in the Lost World. I never really thought of it as having a lasting effect on the series. Sorry, I had to swallow awkwardly. So really, the Chronicles of the Chronicler things I have always tried to keep separate from the actual Bionicle storylines. They're, in a way, a bit of a continuation of the 2003 storyline without going into like the 2004, 2005, and so on. But really, I've kind of embraced the Chronicles of the Chronicler series as being more of an alternate universe kind of thing. And so with the whole time warp happening and the Star Trek-esque events taking place, this has become basically like an alternate reality within an alternate universe. So, yo dog, heard you like alternates. The nut was a little bit more difficult to crack for Search for Life. It was nowhere near as difficult as it was to crack for Lost World, but I had to put more effort into the planning behind it than I did on Mask of Power and Fallen Order. And I really hope that this one does very well, because I do really like the story. I'm really fond of the whole sibling thing between Holly and Mal, and anything that I can just do and put out for people on the internet to watch and enjoy. It's always been one of the things that I enjoy most about being a YouTuber. Not necessarily the making of, but the enjoyment that I get from other people enjoying my videos, and I hope to continue doing that in the years to come. The new Star Trek movie just came out like 3 days ago when I'm filming this behind the scenes video. I have not yet seen it.